one of the things that we've been using some of our extra time for is doing some cooking. And this is actually a recipe that I found in a camping magazine that I absolutely love. So if you have 2 eggs and 2 bananas that are maybe a little bit past their prime, you're just going to take the 2 eggs and the 2 bananas and mash them together. I doubled the recipe here to make more because I really like these. But that's all you need, just bananas and eggs, and then I put it in the blender to mix it up because it kind of takes a while to mash. You put it into a pan and you make these little silver dollar sized pancakes. Don't go too big because they're kind of hard to flip. But the best way I can describe it is it almost tastes like a banana bread pancake, and it's not bad for you because there's just bananas and eggs in it. So you can dress it up with all sorts of toppings. I went a little crazy here. Strawberries, peanut butter, honey, apple butter, anything that you can think of. Really, really good on these pancakes. A couple of days ago, I started refinishing our butcher block in our kitchen, and I made it about 3 minutes into that project when my sander died. And then I tried to hand sand it, but that was like a nightmare. So Patrick's parents actually came over and brought their sander so that I could finish the project while I have time and I'm home. So I'm going to restart this, and hopefully I can get through all of the really deep scratches in here to get that finished. The sander did a pretty good job of getting out the big scratches and just evening everything out, a little bit more even color. And I definitely succeeded in making a gigantic mess. There's dust everywhere. I kept trying to vacuum to contain it a little bit, but there's dust. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. So I'm gonna have to clean that up and get the dust to really settle before I can go back and put the clear coat on. And I think I'm gonna sand a little bit of the other side too. While I'm creating a giant mess, I might as well do the whole thing. There's the part of the mess that I made. And then there's the counter. This side was pretty easy. I just had to take out a couple little spots, especially around the sink. And then there's the side that really needed the work. But look at the stove. You can see how much dust got kicked around. I just cleaned that this morning. So now I'm gonna go try to manage the dust situation. After I cleaned up as much dust as I possibly could, I started the process of resealing the wood, which is critical because this is such a high use area. I used the same product that I sealed the floors with, which is from Vermont Natural Coatings. And this is kind of a weird thing that I found back when we first got the tiny house. I remember I was standing in Home Depot reading the containers of polyurethane and how many chemicals were in them and how you couldn't come in contact with it or breathe anything in the same area for like a full day or a couple days. So I really didn't want to put that in the tiny house. And after doing some research, I found this poly whey sealer that's made from some sort of byproduct of the way that they make cheese. So I figured that has to be a little bit more natural to be in the house. The tiny house is a mess, but I'm just waiting for the sealant to dry on the countertops. They look pretty good. I was telling Pat we should take a picture of the kitchen right now and be like, this is what our tiny house always looks like. Perfect and empty. Because that's what you always see. You see these pictures of tiny houses that are like, they have nothing in them. And I swear it's because people don't live in them. I finished the 3 coats, the clear coats that I put on the countertop, and pretty happy with how everything looks. It's not perfect, but way better than what it was before. So the next step is to seal around the sink. I just want to put a clear coat of silicone right in the ridge between the sink and the wood. It's really important that we keep that sealed, especially around the back, because when you're washing dishes, I don't know, maybe I'm messy, but I just kind of like splash everywhere. So I always keep that with an extra coat of paint right there on the wood, this part here, and then I'll seal right back here and all the way along where the wood meets in the corner, because one day we overfilled the Berkey and the water went, I think, in between here, and there's like a seam in the butcher block over on the other side. The water went into that seam, and then when we opened this drawer, this is our junk drawer by the way, there was actually water in there. So I'm going to seal it and make sure that doesn't happen again, because that wasn't good. We also just need to make sure we don't overfill the Berkey. That will solve the problem by itself, but I think sealing everything is just going to be good to protect the wood and keep it from absorbing moisture and swelling. I used a clear silicone to seal all the way around the perimeter of the sink, protect the wood a little bit more, make sure that we didn't get any surprise leaks. And then I turned my attention to the bathroom because I already had the silicone out, so why not? I got the area around the outside of the sink caulked with the clear waterproof caulk, so that looks pretty good. And then I figured it's Sunday, I don't want to do anything too strenuous today. I've been doing a lot of tiny house projects, so I'll just caulk around the shower in the bathroom. It's something I've needed to do for a little while. And then as things go when you're doing house projects, it kind of turned into a thing. Here's the bathroom. Over here on this side of the shower, you can see there's already a hole in the wall. That's been there, oh gosh, like 2 years maybe. The reason for that is you see the seam that goes around the tub there. It joins the top and the bottom piece of the plastic liner that creates our shower. We think the way that it fits together, this lip here, water gets in here and runs down and into here, and where the drywall used to be, first we started to notice the paint was peeling a little bit, and then when you peeled back the paint, then we saw that the drywall was wet and swollen, and then we started to see a little bit of mold there. So we ripped out that whole piece of drywall and just left it open for a little while to see if we could figure out what was causing that. I caulked all the way around the perimeter of the tub, and it never happened again, but since you have to keep redoing that, the front has been fine. But then we started to notice the same thing happening at the back of the tub, same area. The paint started to peel right where that seam is, and then the drywall started to swell, and then I peeled that back and you could see a little bit of mold underneath there. So I knew that I had to do that, and I just started to pull back little pieces, and then next thing you know, I was hacking out pieces of the wall. So it's actually kind of neat because you can get a look inside the wall of the tiny house. There are the pipes that go over to the sink. This piece of wood is just anchoring the outside of the shower in there. I couldn't go over far enough so that you could see the steel beam, but there's our insulation. It's just the regular, what is that, like fiberglass insulation and drywall, and then wood. So that's the interesting thing about a tiny house versus an RV is it's made with all the same kind of materials that you would have in a house, so therefore you can also have the same problems like your drywall in the bathroom getting wet. The plan is to actually just get a piece of beadboard that we can put on there and maybe just loosely attach it so we can take it off if we ever think that it's leaking again. But I'm going to go ahead and caulk that connecting line in there, and hopefully we won't have any issues. I went ahead and sealed the connection between the top and the bottom of the shower all the way around, and that seems to be holding pretty well. There hasn't been any water on either side of the shower, but the hole in the front and the back of the bathroom is probably going to be there for a little while until we can get to Home Depot again and put something over that. But in the meantime, I got most of my tiny house projects done so that I can rest and get back to my main project, which is painting the ceiling.
worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there. So don't be scared, just take a deep breath of air.